Okay, so remember how we were just talking about less being more?
What?
Or that does not apply.
No, no, no. Crazy. Shut the stop it. You're drunk. That doesn't even make sense. You. We're into what are you talking about? Oh, hey, sorry, I didn't see you come in there. How you doing? I'm Andy, a guitar player. Welcome back to my channel. Many people have sent me the following clip from Watch Mojo. Now, I don't personally watch Mojo because I've heard Mojo is terrible. But today I am going to watch Mojo for you. Now, Watch Mojo is like one of the biggest YouTube channels out there. If most people are gonna look up like top 20 guitar players, this is the thing that they're gonna come to. So it's kind of important that it be accurate. And so let's hope it's accurate. Let's be optimistic and say that it is at least a little bit accurate. Angus, already? Angus is good. I don't know if he's top 20.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 male guitarists of all time.
Okay, so it is male guitarist. Petrucci. Looking skinny there. Johnny Mayer. Apples and oranges a little bit. Slash, always great.
For this list, we'll be ranking the most influential and iconic
Oh no, that's Dwayne
musicians
Allman. That's
to
Dickie
pick up
Betts
the
there.
guitar, taking into account their legacy
Gilmore.
and where they stand today. We'll be saving
B.B.
talking
King.
about
Is
the
this just
ladies
me
who rock
naming-
for a list of their own. Who are your favorite guitarists? Do you dig
Randy
guitarists who
Rhoads,
shred or
Metheny.
play it subtle? Sound off in the comments.
Metheny better be on this list.
Number 20, Carlos Santana.
Ooh!
Be
That
said
kid's
about
17, the
crossover
drummer.
appeal, bringing a new approach to an underrepresented genre and making it feel fresh to the masses.
What is she called? I mean, he comes from Afro-Cuban roots, but
Into the 70s, when he combined Latin rhythms and melodies with jazz fusion and hard
jazz fusion. All right.
rock fire. Carlos Santana's fluid, powerful playing style is a force to be reckoned with, but his collaboration with future Journey leader Neil Schon on the band's third album would help make Santana a group of immeasurable influence.
So I don't understand what the criteria is for great guitar playing here, because it seems like it's influence now. They don't seem to be talking much about the specific type of guitar he's playing. I love Santana. I mean, Dorian mode, Zappa used to make fun of him for playing a lot of Dorian, but that's blues. I love his style of playing. You know, just that beautiful samba pati sound.
Number 19, Mark Knopfler.
Hey,
We've all
all
heard
right,
the
Knopfler.
phrase less is more, but Dire Straits' main man, Mark Knopfler, took that idea one step further with his light and sensitive touch. Knopfler is a finger player similar to Fleetwood Mac's Lindsey Buckingham, and tends to shun heavy riffs and showboating.
He definitely does not shun showboating. Okay. But yes, he does play with his fingers. I also think, like Lindsey Buckingham does, he's also a self-taught guitar player, but he is not averse to showboating.
Instead, Knopfler uses a tasteful and melodic approach to weave a tapestry of emotion and feeling within each note and phrase. For every up-tempo solo, like the famous one in Sultans of Swing,
No showboating here?
there are moments of quiet brilliance, such as the delicate intro to Romeo and Juliet.
Gotcha. So this seems to be like guitar enthusiasts wrote this video, not people who really know anything about guitar. They're not really talking about styles in which they choose to play. They're not really talking about chord structure, if they arpeggiate. They don't talk about anything. They don't talk about any of the actual technique. They're just kind of giving me generalities here.
Or the driving main hook of Lady Writer.
I mean, this is like this is old school chicken picking. This is bluegrass style brought into modern, well, you know, modern then, kind of rock blues, There's even like some skiffle in there. There's so many different influences on this type of music that they're just ignoring. I mean, that's just...
Knopfler also branched out into a solo career after Dire Straits,
Look at the size of that man's
composing
thumb.
a fantastic score for the classic 80s fantasy
Sure.
romance The Princess Bride.
As you wish.
As you wish was all he ever said.
Number 18, Billy Gibbons. Billy Gibbons is famous for many reasons, from his pioneering psychedelic work with the Moving Sidewalks to the blues and southern rock royalty that is ZZ Top.
Okay. I'm with it. Good guitar
Gibbons
player.
was also reportedly one of Jimi Hendrix's favorite guitar players, alongside Chicago's Terry Kath, and it's easy to see why. The man is an under-the-radar ripper.
What's amazing there that they don't talk about is all those little pinched harmonics and things that I am not going to try and emulate right now. All those nifty little sounds that he's getting. It's amazing that they can just put these kind of guitar players together and not really know anything about what they're doing, and they're going to like make this list.
Number 17, Yngwie Malmsteen. Okay, so remember how we were just talking about less being more?
What?
Throw that idea out the window for a moment, because that definitely does not apply to Sweden's Yngwie Malmsteen.
No. You are not putting Malmsteen at 17. It's a totally different type of music. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? So up until now, this has basically been kind of a blues guy list. Now all of a sudden we have like a virtuosic metal player. In terms of technical skill, Malmsteen is just off the charts. He should not be 17. But he probably should. They should do this for like different types of music. They should do one for metal. They should do one for classical. They should do one for jazz. They should do one for rock and blues. I thought this was all going to be like rock and blues or whatever. Crazy! Holy.
That's because Malmsteen is all about the neoclassical shred style, eschewing subtlety for a more is more approach that champions speed, technique, and precision. Mixing up fantasy and romantic
This is one of my
themes
favorite
with
performances
guitar
ever.
heroics that'll set your hair on fire.
Yeah, arpeggios from hell.
Malmsteen
Listen
is
to
in
that. I mean, you can hear each and every note, and it's going quick.
Special masterclass of axemen. Think Steve Vai and Joe Satriani,
Sure.
whose fretboard skills are simply not of this world.
Are they? Hold on. Are they showing me Satriani and Steve Vai because they aren't on the list?
Number 16, Prince. Prince is a legend today
Now we're
for
back
his
to
work in
blues.
the worlds of pop, rock, and funk fusion.
Prince is a master of 22 different instruments. In terms of guitar, he draws most of his influences, I can tell, from funk, Sly and the Family Stone style funk, but a lot from Jimmy. He's a big Jimmy dude. Look at the way he plays. Look at the fluidity with which he loves to play in those blues scales. Stylistically, it's so different. It's weird. It's like, it's not even apples and oranges. You're comparing like baseball players to football players in terms of who's the best athlete. It's just a totally different styles that you're mixing together.
Just take a look at Prince's performance at the
Touch
2004
if
Rock
you
and
will,
Roll
my
Hall of Fame
picture.
induction ceremony, where he managed to outshine a stage full of icons with
They
a
were playing
performance
rhythm.
that brought the house
No, he
down.
didn't outshine them. Tom Petty's playing a 12-string. They're playing acoustics. They're playing a
He
rhythm
was a
for
walking
him.
masterclass, a man who truly played the guitar like it's an extension of himself, laying down licks and solos. Number 15, Dimebag Darrell.
We're into, what are you talking about? You can't put these types of music together and compare them like Dimebag Darrell and, oh my God. I can't have a conniption every time, but this is
Heavy
crazy.
metal, like any other musical genre, is in a constant state of evolution, driven by inventive musicians pushing the limits.
By the way, I can already guarantee there will be no jazz players on this list. They'll just pretend like jazz doesn't exist.
It was at once theatrical and yet tempered with an undying desire to play as heavy as possible.
Was it at all tempered?
Riffs were Daryl's game. Sadly, the metal icon's career and life was cut short by an obsessed fan while Daryl was on stage in 2004. Number 14, Pete Townsend. Style and substance.
Shut the f up. Stop it. That's... The idea that Pete Townsend is a better guitar player than Dimebag Darrell and Yngwie Malmsteen is more incorrect than almost... I haven't heard something that incorrect in a while. Do you really think, in his wildest dreams, Pete Townsend, who writes some awesome songs, the Who have some good songs, I've played Who tunes before. Do you really think he could even begin to play like Malmsteen? Do you really even think he'd be able to begin to play like Dimebag Darrell? No, these are stylistically totally divergent types of music. It's impossible to compare these types of guitar players. Impossible. Other than like influence. But even then, to compare Pantera to The Who, like, this is so, like, how many people are going to watch this or have watched this? How many people have watched this? 1.1 million people have watched this thing. It has a hefty 13,000 likes. I mean, more people are going to watch this than watch actual videos that talk about these guitar players in a real way and talk about their influences and how they played. This is a list of the guitarists that the 20 most guitarists that they know about.
More than that, however, Pete had the chops and songwriting prowess to back up his bombast, making The Who one of the best English rock bands of all time.
Ooh, I like that hole in the pants. I've never seen that before.
13, Brian May.
All right, here we go.
There's a lot of work. Well, then you get someone like Brian May, a guitarist who isn't just happy to kick out awesome riffs, but wants to push the sonic barrier to the limit.
Stupidest I've ever heard in my life. I'm sorry, what are you talking about? He wants to push the sonic barrier to the limit? That doesn't make any sense. Talk about his guitar playing. He designed this guitar with his father, built it. He has 2 or 3 of them in the world. He's a very efficient player, plays with the quarter, can really create different kind of metallic sounds against that string. Has written some of my favorite songs of all time. I'm not going to try and play any right now. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. So one thing I love about May, I'll just talk about here because they're not going to talk about. Look how efficiently he plays. He'll keep his fingers in a few positions. A lot of guitar players love to show you going all over the fretboard. The thing about guitars, you can play middle C anywhere on the guitar, or not anywhere, but most places on the guitar. So you can get the same notes at different places in the guitar. And a lot of times when guitar players are showing you, look how wild and crazy my hands can go, they could actually play it much more efficiently. So just look at the way May plays and how kind of delicate and efficient he looks, and then contrast that to the sound coming out of his guitar. Look how softly his fingers kind of nurture the strings.
May's early approach to Queen mainly plays
What's
with
the difference
an epic
between
heavy
riffs
rock
and sonic?
palette, but as years
Nonsense.
progressed, Brian would add layers and layers of guitar tracks.
He would add layers and layers of guitar tracks as the year... What are you talking about? You're drunk. That doesn't even make sense to add layers and layers of guitar tracks. That's what you do on a song. He add layers and layers to his guitar tracks, maybe is what they're trying to say. Watch Mojo. Mojo.
Number 12, Frank Zappa. Genius or madman?
I own more Frank Zappa music than I own any other type of music. I adore Frank Zappa. He is certainly the most prolific composer within the kind of pop rock, prog rock. I mean, they're not even mentioning prog rock here, but that's what he is. He's prog rock. Kind of. I mean, maybe people would not call him prog rock. I don't know. He's had a lot of different incarnations of his of playing. He's a brilliant, brilliant musician. Does he belong on the list of the greatest 20 guitar players of all time? If you were compiling a list of the greatest compositional guitar players of all time, then yeah, certainly. As a player, he is pretty messy when he solos. Now, one of my favorite guitar solos of all time is Well, 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 with him playing with John Lennon in Madison Square Garden. Hi guys, Andy here, editing. And I was incredibly wrong just there. Actually, Zappa and Lennon did the song Well. It's not Well, 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 just a different John Lennon song. And they did it at the Fillmore East in 71. Correction. And even with Yoko Ono yelling over it, it's one of my top 5 favorite guitar solos of all time. He's written a number of my top 50 or something guitar pieces of all time. He definitely deserves to be in the list of top 20 guitar composers of all time. But when he plays these kind of nasty improvisational pentatonics, okay? He stays in the blues realm. He writes his music in all different realms. He's a master of jazz, he's a master of classical, he understands music in maybe a more complete way than any other composer of the 20th century. But he played in a really kind of mean, nasty, bluesy way. And if you're just talking about skill, I'd put his guitar player Steve Vai on here, which I don't think they're doing because they've already shown me him as like an example of a guitar player who didn't make the list. But
tied down to one style.
The power of pop music to corrupt and putrefy the minds of world youth are virtually limitless.
Jazz fusion, hard rock, and psych were all part of the package for this unstoppable composer, a guitar player with absolutely no limits to his talent. And that's sort of the beauty behind Zappa's recorded output. There's something for everybody. Want some heavy psych moves? Check out one of his groovier albums with the Mothers of Invention. Into something truly out there and trippy, dive into his film score for 200 Motels or his twisted concept album, Joe's Garage.
200 Motels is also an album. It's a movie he made. He didn't just do the score for it.
Sadly, Frank succumbed to prostate cancer in 1993. We can only guess what other craziness he might have conjured up.
It's so sad to me that this is like the idea that people are going to get about Zappa.
Number 11,
Yeah, he is
Tony
amazing.
Iommi. This was due to an accident Tony had on his last day of work at a factory
Right,
that
and he had
resulted
the
in the
things
loss
on
of
his
2
fingers, right?
fingertips on his fretting hand. As a result,
so
Iommi
mean.
had to press harder, thanks to handcrafted prosthetics changing his entire approach. Now, Flash. Said simply, before any metal band did anything, Iommi and Sabbath did everything. Number 10, Ritchie Blackmore. If Tony Iommi is the godfather of heavy metal, then Deep Purple's Ritchie Blackmore was nipping right at his heels.
What? He was the godfather. I see. So he's another godfather who's nipping at the other godfather's heels. I mean, just non. I mean, it's just word
His
salad
heels.
here.
Number 9, B.B. King.
Back to the blues, of course.
What can we say about blues legend B.B. King that hasn't already been said?
Nothing. Don't even try. Just let him play.
Even close my eyes.
It can be difficult to stand out in the crowded arena of bluesmen and women seeking to make their mark in a genre so rooted in tradition. The blues comes from deep within, and simplicity is the key to bearing your heart and soul to the audience.
The blues comes from deep within. I'm sorry.
Tradition.
They shouldn't even speak
Blues
about him.
comes from deep within, and simplicity is the key to
They
bearing
shouldn't
your heart
even
and soul
put
to
his
the
name, put his name in their mouth. I could ask them the scale he's playing right now. They wouldn't know.
King communicated blues.
Listen to that. Listen to that. Look how quiet he can get it, and you can still hear the perfect crispness of that tone.
King communicated just as effectively using his trusted guitar Lucille as he did when he sang classics like The Thrill Is Gone.
Well, let's go.
What? That sentence doesn't make sense either. He played his guitar Lucille, which is a big old Gibson, all the time. He played it on The Thrill Is Gone, his most famous song, all the time.
Thrill is gone.
His technique was smooth and seemed almost
thrill
effortless
is
as he
gone.
glided across her strings to tell his story. Number 8, Randy Rhoads.
Back to metal.
Oh, what might
Cool.
have been.
I mean,
There's
at
no
this point,
denying
who
that
gives a-
former
right?
Ozzy Osbourne and Quiet Riot guitarist Randy Rhoads achieved a lot in a comparatively short amount of time. Still, this young man was so talented that it's
I love the
difficult
polka
not to
dot flying
imagine
V.
what more Rhoads could have done had he not been lost in a tragic plane crash. Make no mistake,
lovely.
Rhoads inspired generations of guitar players in his wake, thanks to his perfectionist manner of mixing hard rock bombast with legit classical chops.
Is this classical chops or bombast?
Clapton is
Clapton.
God. This was the famous UK graffiti slogan
Clapton
that
is not a
championed
better
brash young bloke
guitar
fresh
player
on the
than
scene
Randy
after forming
Rhoads or
Cream
Yngwie
in
Malmsteen,
1966.
The party, she was kindness in the hard crowd.
Eric Clapton, marvelous, marvelous guitar player, stole endless riffs and style from B.B. King, Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters. He'd admit this as much as anybody. I would hope to be able to steal as well as he does. He's a spectacular guitar player. I disagree with his politics. Doesn't mean he's a bad guitar player. Does he belong on like the 20 most influential guitar players list? Certainly. He definitely does. Talent-wise, is he anywhere near Randy Rhoads or somebody like Zappa or, Malmsteen? No.
Although battles with drug addiction, a drunken anti-immigration outburst in 1976,
Oh,
the
and
tragic
recently.
loss of Number 6, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan played traditional down-home American blues.
Not
no
traditional,
more, no
but-
less.
A lot more, but okay. You think that... Listen to the way everything that Stevie Ray Vaughan does also probably belongs in the top 20 most influential guitar players of all time. Everything he does is like a glissando. It's he finds his way places. Look at the kind of he doesn't play a G chord, he plays it. He moves chords at you.
It was the way in which he approached the blues, however, that made him a legend. A blue-collar attack that was both approachable and mesmerizing. Vaughan could take the most basic 4-bar arrangement and turn it into a sustained symphony of held notes and triumphant licks.
So he's not holding that note, he's bending that note. If you had consulted a guitar player, you could probably put that in your script.
Number 5, Keith Richards. Sometimes the best
Okay,
riffs
hold on.
are the
Before we
simplest
do
ones.
it, I guarantee things they will not mention about Keith Richards' guitar playing. The first thing, he removes one of his E strings. They will not talk about it. He's a 5-string guitar player. They will skip over it. I hereby predict. And I also think that he tunes to open G, which is more of a slide guitar tuning. And I guarantee they'll mention neither of those incredibly unique facts about this guitar player. One of my favorites.
Start Me Up and I Can't Get No Satisfaction are 2 great examples. And they have one great guitarist in common as their co-writer, Keith Richards.
Well,
Keith
technically
has
that's
that
not true.
nebulous quality about him that just exudes a born rock star swagger.
Yeah, no, it actually they were written by Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, and Mick Jagger is also a guitar player.
Keith just has it.
Ooh, listen to those little harmonics and tension in there.
Number 4, David Gilmour.
Hey, David Gilmour.
Have become
let's see what
Pink
he
Floyd
said.
was already turning heads with their
got
formative
Sid
brand
Barrett
of
in there.
psychedelic rock before 1967. But
Okay.
the band gained a whole other
So
dynamic.
they're going to talk about Floyd. Everybody find out who Sid Barrett is. This gentleman. Wish You Were Here was written about this man. He wrote some very interesting music. I'm thinking of this. I'm not going to remember it very well, but Gilmore is a marvelous player, plays a lot slower than the other players they play on. Here's a blues player, blues classic rock player, very melodic, mellifluous, M words, a Slytherin type of player. He plays slow, but he gets there. You know, he has these little hammer-ons, these little quick little movements between positions, but he is a truly magnificent guitar player. Even if you hear him, he doesn't sound as quick or as flashy as some of the other players. I doubt he could do what Malmsteen could do. But if this is a most influential guitar player list, then they both belong on it.
When David Gilmour joined in December of that year. When founder Roger Waters left in 1985. Though this divided the fan base, the albums after this were arguably even smoother, more melodic, and moving, thanks to David's amazing tone and technique.
No, incorrect. Their best albums were before. Nobody's divided on that. If you are, I'm sorry for you.
Number 3, Eddie Van Halen.
Okay, Van Halen. One thing that's never ever mentioned about this solo is listen to Alex Van Halen's drumming, because they're mimicking each other's rhythm. It's gorgeous.
His were the fingers that launched 1,000 careers. The guitarist who, with one amazing instrumental, put every other band on notice. His name was Eddie Van Halen, the song was Eruption, and heavy rock was never the same.
Okay, Eruption. Yeah, Eruption was good.
Every hair metal band on the Sunset Strip attempted to ape Eddie's furious
no
technique
jazz
and
guys,
stylistic flair, but no one
Halen
ever did it like
belongs
Van
in the top
Halen.
20.
It was a perfect storm.
This is Beat It?
Number 2, Jimmy Page.
Also belongs in the... So number 1 is obviously Hendrix.
Critics of Jimmy Page have called him sloppy, and let's say enthusiastic about borrowing riffs from other bands. But have any of those
Borrowing
people ever
our
played their guitar with a
Canadian
cello?
Phoebe. Who's called Jimmy Page sloppy?
People ever played their guitar with a cello bow? We think not.
I bet you could actually get a better sound with it. I mean, maybe the bow did something there. I didn't like that solo very much. Jimmy Page is a marvelous guitar player, was a studio musician, I believe, before he joined the Yardbirds. I've never considered him to be even a little bit sloppy. I mean, I love so many of his melodies and riffs. I also think he's a really versatile artist. He would write things in acoustic. He'd write things that sounded more hard rock, blues. He was an innovator in metal music. They're going to mention none of that, but he's a truly great musician. So sloppy.
He possesses a wide array of influences that permeated the music
Zappa
of Led
was
Zeppelin,
sloppy.
from Eastern scales and melodies to bombastic heavy riffs that predated
It's the third time
heavy
they've
metal.
used the word bombast. Or bombastic.
Page loved the blues and arguably rocked harder than anyone in his days, both on stage and after the show.
Here he is, drunk.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Chuck Berry
Chuck Berry
needs to
for
be
the
on this
duck
list,
walk and
is
that
it?
boogie woogie.
No, it's not for the duck walk, you stupid It's for the 40 songs he wrote that were all hits that everybody played for 40 years. Sorry.
Robert Johnson for allegedly selling his soul at the cross.
He created the 50s and 60s. He helped innovate the blues, the thing that everything is based on. It's impossible to overstate his influence. It has nothing to do with the bull devil story.
Robert Fripp for setting the progressive rock world on
Crimson.
fire.
Hey, yeah, might as well.
Paco de Lucia for his unmatchable skill and technique. Django Reinhardt for doing
did get
all
a
this
jazz
with
guy
just
in there,
2
okay.
fingers.
No, it's not for doing it for 2 fingers. Also, it's for inventing modern jazz guitar with 2 fingers. Yes, he had 2 fingers. Well, he had more than 2 fingers, but his hand, he had nerve damage, I think, from a fire or something. This, I believe, is the only video of him available. He's, I can't overstate his influence on jazz guitar. The gypsy jazz guitar style influenced so much of what the 20th century became in terms of jazz music. Wes Montgomery, Joe Pass, Jim Hall, Pat Metheny. I mean, there's so many spectacular guitar players who are not even begun to, who I'm sure none of these people have ever heard of, but who are totally influenced by what Django did. And to have him be an honorable mention is an insult to guitar, to YouTube videos, to information.
Eric Johnson for all the faces he melted with Cliffs of Dover.
And also has a great YouTube channel. This is not the only thing he ever did when he was dressed like the Nutcracker guy. Yeah, he's very quick. He's beautiful. Beautiful writer.
Number 1, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. Okay, before they bloviate. Interesting things about Jimi Hendrix, just from a guitar playing perspective, he liked to detune his guitar about a half step. He liked to sing down there. He felt he had a better voice down there, detuned about a half step. That's why a lot of people have trouble kind of figuring out his, well, it's not the only reason why people have trouble figuring out his songs, aside from the fact that he's a spectacular musician. He also innovated playing with his thumb, allowing his middle ring and pinky finger a lot more freedom across the fretboard. Right, it just gives you a lot more room if you can play that low E string. And the A string with your thumb. Innovated that. Now, it's not a proper way to play. A lot of musicians won't play that way. But I guarantee that every guitar every guitar player worth their salt will be able to mimic it. They'll have gone through a Hendrix phase where they would want to have figured out how Hendrix did it. He also had a much dirtier, distorted sound than just about anybody at that time. People always say that Stevie Ray Vaughan emulated it. I think he did, but Vaughan had his own sound, which was a much kind of bigger, more well-produced sound. The people who recorded Jimmy really didn't do him any favors, frankly, I don't think. That kind of lent to the kind of dirty meanness, kind of nastiness of his tone that people have been trying to capture for years and failing.
His career burned out far too quickly, but this rock legend quite simply revolutionized the electric guitar.
Hippie dancing. I love hippie dancing.
More than just a bluesy, psychedelic rock power group, they were a showcase to the progression of rock music as a whole. This was largely thanks to Hendrix's chops and stage presence, a hurricane of charisma that was far more than him setting his guitar on fire or playing with his teeth. There was just as much tastefulness to his playing as there was an intense, raw energy.
Sure. That's how they construct sentences at Watch Mojo. They try to like put some juxtaposition. He had the fiery breath of truth in his guitar playing, but wasn't averse to subtlety when he needed it. They've basically said the same thing about every guitar player on this list.
This unstoppable force rightfully captivated anyone who was lucky enough to see the master at work.
Do you agree with our picks?
No, I can't trash this video enough. I've never seen, I didn't know Watch Mojo had this little integrity. I thought like if they were like a big enough channel to get this type of attention, I would have thought they would have had a little bit more care in how they put these videos together. Like just talk to an actual guitar player. Guitar players need money, like hire them. Give them money to come and tell you what these guitar players are doing. If you were going to actually talk about like the greatest in terms of like the best guitar players, the most versatile, the most skilled, I mean, if you don't have Guthrie Govan in there, then your list means nothing, for example. If you don't have Tim Henson in there, then your list means nothing. If you don't have Ichika in there, I don't think your list means anything. Maybe they're just being egregiously wrong on purpose to piss people off. Maybe that's it. Anyway, thanks for watching this video today. I'm sorry if it made you angry. It made me angry. I'm sorry if I made you angry. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm right or wrong, or if Watch Mojo is right or wrong about any of these. I've been clear on which people I think kind of belong in the top 20 greatest guitar players of all time. I can maybe do my own list. I think if you're going to be better about this list, I'd call it the most influential guitar players of all time. And I would probably drastically change the order of things. But in terms of best guitar players of all time, they didn't even like get to, I mean, Derek Trucks isn't in the list. It's an invalid list. So with that said, Mojo. Okay. I'm sorry guys for all the cursing. We'll see if I have the energy to bleep them out. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments. And until next time, keep playing.